going into another term, you're going to be keeping the same crew of department directors and administrative structure?
Well, I'm in the process now of reviewing all of our department heads and making assessments about that. I'm reasonably satisfied with the team that we've assembled. We didn't get through the very difficult financial challenges and all these challenges I've just described without having extraordinary level of support of people at the leadership levels throughout the county to help make that decision. The finance team that we've had assembled, I think, is just first rate, and so we were able to get through that. I think because of the talent that we had, we combined some newer people that I brought aboard, but we also maintained a level of support of people who were already here. I'm in the process now of trying to decide precisely whether any adjustments need to be made. I will be evaluating that over the next couple of weeks. But overall, I'm reasonably satisfied with our leadership team. But it doesn't suggest that there are no places for improvement, but overall, I'm reasonably satisfied with it.
Just to go back to Annapolis for a moment, that's where I'm coming from most recently. And to go back to teacher pensions for a moment, just as a segue, Senator Madaleno was the one who proposed the bill last session that got through the Senate that started the shift of the pension costs onto the county's back. What did you think of that coming from the leader of the Senate delegation in Montgomery County, the leader of a jurisdiction that would take the biggest hit financially if that were to happen?
I would disagree with Senator Madaleno, but having said that, I have a great deal of respect for him. And you have to put yourself in his shoes and look at how he evaluated the challenges. I think that he has the utmost desire and intent to possibly protect Montgomery County and ensure that the state is as financially stable as possible. And he is an expert in those things. So you have to give some deference to his reading of the tea leaves. And his reading of the tea leaves, I think, suggested to him that it was maybe better to have a more accommodating measure on the table rather than some of the more harsh options that have been floated out before. That he is a better reader of the sentiment of the Senate and what is likely to pass. And you know, you can always second guess that, but I would suffice it to say that my decision may have been a different way, probably would have been different, but you have to put yourself in his shoes and how he sees that and understand what his heart and mind and soul is to protect Montgomery County and make sure that the state is okay. And looking at the tea leaves at that point in time in that environment is something that you have to respect, and I respect his decision-making process, even though I may have come out a different way.
You mentioned reading the tea leaves. In Annapolis, of course, if the Senate president wants something to move forward, it's likely to move forward. Senator Miller has been talking for a long time about pushing teacher pension costs back to the counties. Are people seeing that as an inevitable, an inevitability? And
I don't see it as inevitable. I don't see it as inevitable. That's where I am. I don't see that, and I will continue to fight to make certain that it does not become a reality. But Senator Madaleno, looking at it and reading the tea leaves of the Senate and the likelihood that something might pass, he could have seen that differently, and that's probably what he did. He looked at that differently and said, you know, there's a strong likelihood that this is going to pass, and I could be true to my conviction about not doing this and have a true, clear decision and consistent with everything that I've said in the past and have a worse outcome for Montgomery County. Or I can try to head this train down a different track or slow it down or take some of the steam out of it in some fashion to make it a little bit more palatable. That's a tough call, and it's difficult to read the Senate, difficult to read the sentiment, and I think that was his intent and how he read it.
What's your relationship like with the county Senate and House delegation, and what kind of things are you going to ask for them to go to bat for you on in Annapolis this year in terms of local legislation?
I think we have an outstanding team. We have the largest delegation in Annapolis. We've got, I think, a combination of some strong veteran people who've served us in leadership positions in the past. Plus, we've got an exciting young core of newer people We'll be heading to Annapolis. It gives us, I think, a very good balance in a variety of ways, balance in terms of youth, gender, ethnicity. Montgomery County will have 3 Indian Americans going to the legislative body. That's highly unusual in any jurisdiction, that we will have 3 from Montgomery County. And so when you look at the leadership team, I think that we have an excellent leadership team. And it also has some promising younger people who I think will be stars in years to come.
On a kind of more local level, what would you say to county residents who see that the budget is still suffering, that they keep still losing their jobs, and they're not sure about hope in the future? I guess they're concerned about what's going to happen for the county. What would you say to those people?
Well, I think that's a legitimate concern which people raise, and they need to raise it repeatedly. Is what we want to do is respond to those concerns. And that's something that keeps me up many nights trying to figure out what we can do to help mitigate that impact and to find ways in which to be helpful. We can't do it all, but I think we can, in fact, make a difference. And we have, I think, made a difference in a number of places. For example, one of the decisions I made last year that people pay scant attention to was to significantly advance the construction funding in our capital budget. We increased the capital expenditures, especially in schools, by 17% last year. That boasted construction dollars and jobs that were in place and are now in place for the construction dollars that we had. We've tried in a couple of places, for example, to jumpstart some of the other construction places in the county. For example, in housing and office and commercial construction. My goal was to limit and reduce the cost of permit and reduce the cost that businesses will have to pay. We also invested a great deal in bringing in new jobs for the long term. The approval of the White Flint Master Plan is going to bring a huge number of jobs down the Whitefield Pike. The Science City project that we have, the project that we have for the Smart Growth Initiative around Shaded Grove. All of those things, I think, help to spur jobs. But more importantly, the great emphasis that we've had in going out and reaching out to biotech firms to shore that aspect of it, because we have great potential for that. And we're working with the federal government. Steve Silverman and I meet with some large firm or small business or the federal sector employers every week, going through different companies and talking to them about how we can retain, ensure that they stay here, and to find ways in which to make sure that they expand in Montgomery County. So we spent a lot of time on that. And we invest a great deal along with the state in job retention, making certain that we compete for jobs that are here, making certain that we get people properly trained. So it's a great deal that we can do, but at the end of the day, despite the fact that I can run off a huge list of those things that we've done, if you don't have a job and your prospects are somewhat dim, you're going to be disappointed. And I understand that disappointment. But I also know that people recognize what we are doing, and if we are doing everything within reason to try to assist that they are somewhat understanding and respected. And I think that's what you saw rewarded in the election, to say that I've been talking about the deficit for years and fighting on it. I've been working on a variety of things to try to help. I started the campaign 4 years ago when I was running. My key point was Montgomery County needs to get its financial house in order. And in 4 years, I have closed budgetary gaps of about $2.4 to $2.5 billion. We still maintain our AAA bond rating. We've enhanced our school system. We've maintained public safety to the degree possible, and we've helped the most vulnerable in our community in a variety of ways. And so when you look at that, I think that we've done a pretty good job of balancing those things. But I would still say it's not enough, because if there's someone out there who does not have a job, there's someone out there who's still suffering, we need to try to reach out and to try to do even more to assist many of those citizens who are suffering. So I understand that. We're working to try to help, and hopefully the things that we put in place will begin to pay off. Now, I say all of that, but when I talk to other county executives and mayors and governors around the states, their plight and their challenge is far worse comparatively than what we see in Montgomery County, where we're talking 5% unemployment. You're talking places where they're double-digit unemployment, and there's no hopes of anyone wanting to come and to build and to grow in their communities. We've had that, and we see that happening each and every day. We're opening headquarters. We're building construction that's ongoing up and down Montgomery County. That's quite unusual for this time of year.